Today is Saturday, which means it is parkrun day, and I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about Lydiard Parkrun whilst trying to achieve my best time. So Lydiard Parkrun is located to the southwest side of England in a small town called Swindon, and it is all around the Lydiard Park fields. It is a 2-lap course, all on trail paths, so I'd probably recommend trail shoes only because of the fact that the trail paths were very wet on the day that we went. There was lots of puddles and sort of stones which had moved around too, so definitely trail shoes is a recommendation to this part run, but you'll be fine with road shoes. It's not that boggy, so you're not going to be slipping over. In terms of how hilly the part run is, I'd say it is a slightly hilly part run. It's not too bad in terms of hills, but there are a couple of hills, which means that it's not really a flat one. The hills are also prolonged, which makes it a little bit more difficult in my opinion. I prefer a quick, short, sharp hill rather than a long, prolonged one. And it is also good to note that it is dog friendly and buggy/pram friendly, so you can take both of those. And there are also toilets right next to the start line in the Forest Cafe, so feel free to go to the toilet before you start your run. In terms of how scenic this park run is, I would say it is a very pretty park run, and the weather was perfect for it on the day with the blue skies backdrop. And it is around the Lydiard Park ground, so it's like a sort of small forestry area, lots of trees as well as you run down one of the straights with open fields too, so you can see for quite a distance. So in my opinion, it was quite a beautiful part run. But in terms of how quick it is, I wouldn't say it is too quick. Probably not one for a PB, especially if you've done lots of flat ones before. However, if you've only done hilly part runs before, then maybe this one could be the one for you to get your quickest time. But before we do go any further, if you don't know what a part run is, it is essentially a 5k which is ran by a group of volunteers who both time and marshal the event. Once you hit the finish line, you'll be given a finish token which you'll scan alongside your own personalised barcode, which will then be sent an email or text message later on with your time and finish position. So let's take a quick look at a summary of the course then. It is a 2-lapper around Lydiard Park, as we said before, with an elevation gain of approximately 29 metres and a max elevation of 124 metres. So you can see that there is a downhill followed by an uphill followed by a downhill, so you end up right near to the Forest Cafe, so you can go and grab a drink straight after. So now you know a little bit about the course, let's take a look at it in a bit more detail. Starting off here, right next to the Forest Cafe before heading your way north. You're going to turn left at where the finish line is situated, which is sort of in the forestry area, before making your way across to the west side of the park. So you're going to come out that forestry area. It's going to be a trail path, lots of puddles and potholes to look out for, so do be careful here, and it does get quite busy. You make your way all the way to that far west hand side before turning right and heading north alongside the second forest on the opposite side. You're then going to turn right again here and head your way downhill. So this is a slight gradual downhill, so it's quite nice because that first section is probably a gradual uphill. Once you get to the most southern section here, you then are going to do another right-hand turn where there was a very big pothole which I stood in, which was full of water, so my foot was drenched after that, so be wary of that one there. You're then going to head your way back towards the southeast side, towards where you started. You're going to do a quick, it's almost like a U-turn, but it's like an extended U-turn, so it's not a quick stop-start. And then you're going to do that lap a second time before at the end of the second lap, you're then going to turn off to the left, a very gradual left-hand turn, and make your way to the finish line, which is located here. And then you can go back to that Forest Cafe for a quick cup of coffee and cake. But now it is time to take a look at some incredible stats which have been set by some people in the past at Lydiard Parkrun. So the fastest male was Simon Knott with a time of 50 minutes and 7 seconds. The fastest female being Amy Chalk with a time of 17 minutes and 7 seconds. Are both actually really quick records here at this park run. The average number of runners is around 363, so it does get fairly busy at the start, and you'll see that in the video just later on. And the average time is 29 minutes and 28 seconds, which is actually quite slow compared to the records which have been set at this park run. So those are some of the incredible times which have been set by people in the past. But now let's take a look at my GoPro stats from all the park runs which I have done. Starting off with the number of park runs which I've done, which is 65. Number of locations is 47. And then my best finish position was 4th, which was set at Lydiard in Poland. My fastest times are all range from 22:32 all the way down to 23:09, and that was last week that I set that one in Grangemore. So hopefully this week we can maybe try and compete towards this time, but we'll have to see how we get on. Right, so it is now time to get down to the run. So you should all know before we do start this footage is that I actually forgot my harness on the day. It was very frustrating, which meant that I was basically holding my GoPro by my chest for the whole of the run. So I'd already said to myself, I'm only going to be doing a 25-minute sort of pace. But the footage turned out okay in the end, so let's go and take a look at it. And so we made our way to the start line, and as you can see, you were basically right in front of each other, very congested here at the start of this run. But we're going to be starting off in 3, 2, 1, and the time is off, and we have started this park run. So as you can see, it is a very, very slow start, almost a walk into a gentle jog here, and we are still not at top pace yet. Obviously, the people at the front will be flying at the moment, but we're going to make our way towards that first left-hand turn, which you'll see is where the finish line is too. They'll bring it out a little bit later on once we have all passed this section, but you can see it is trail paths on foot. Well, actually, this is probably tarmac, to be honest, but when we turn off to the left, it will be onto trail. So we're slowly starting to pick up the pace now, and it has already been 30 seconds, but it is still very congested. So here we go. Here's the turn off to the left. You can see the finish funnel on that right hand side just over there too, with all the orange cones. But as you can see, I have holding it. Footage looks okay so far, but in some areas it may go a little bit too high or a little bit too low, but we will have to find out. If you are enjoying those so far, this park run video, do make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you are new and want to see some more park run footage. We get park run footage out every week, so hopefully you will enjoy watching some more on this channel. Pacers were here on the day too, so you can see that 27-minute pacer has just overtaken us there. I was trying to get a time of about 25 minutes, so I need to start slowly trying to catch up with that 25-minute pacer now. So we're just over 2.5 minutes in, and as you can see, it was a beautiful day, blue skies, and I can imagine it looking absolutely stunning when there are leaves on the trees too. You may be able to see as well there are puddles on the track too, so you can look out for those, but at the same time don't stop, because otherwise the people behind you are just going to run straight into you, and then you'll end up in the puddle face first rather than just your feet. But this first section is a very, very gentle decline before you hit the centre of this western straight, and then it is going to go straight back up the other side in just a moment. So it's a fairly slow start, to be honest. Need to start picking it up as that 25-minute pacer is just in the distance. And there we go. So that is 1 kilometre down, 4 kilometres to go. That was done over the time about 4 minutes 47 seconds. So a decent pace in the end, bearing in mind we did have such a slow start, and we are now almost at that right hand turn on this western side. So doing quite well at the moment. If you do want any more information on the elevation gain and stuff like that, then you can go and check out my Strava, which I will leave a link to in the description below, and you can go and check out all the elevation of all the other park runs too. But we've had an okay start. We are slowly starting to pick up the pace. As we can see, the 25-minute pacer is just in that pack ahead. So we're now coming up towards 7 minutes in. We are on that second right-hand turn, and as you can see, it is a slow decline, as you can see as well. I'm not holding the camera exactly straight, so don't worry, the path isn't actually that slanted. You're not going to slip off to that left-hand side. It is because I am trying to hold the camera this week rather than it being on the chest mount. There we go. I've noticed and now readjusted. You will also notice on this straight, on the northern section, that there are a lot more puddles and potholes to look out for, so do keep your eyes on the floor too. You don't want to twist your ankle on any of those, but we're doing quite well. Managed to catch up a little bit to that 25-minute pacer. Now we just need to overtake him and get under that 25 minutes at the end. So as we make our way towards the second right-hand turn, the puddles begin to increase in volume and size, and there was a really deep one here on this right-hand turn on the right-hand side. You may be able to see in the second lap I go straight through it. and I have an absolute nightmare. My feet are then absolutely soaked for the rest of the run. But you can see the 25-minute pacer is only just ahead of us now, so we are managing to catch up with him. This is the final little bit of flat before it'll be an incline back towards the start and into lap 2. And here we go, so we are midway up this gentle incline. I don't know how people do it with pushchairs, I have to say, especially when it's so potholy too. But he's doing really well to get that pushchair up into lap number 2. It's quite a big pack as well that is sort of situated around that 25-minute pacer, which is just next to me here, and he's just overtaken me, so I need to make sure that I don't let him slip past me too quickly. But at the moment he's pacing it quite well. Our first kilometre, let me take a quick look, was about a time of 4:47. The second kilometre was then a time of 4:38, so we are slowly increasing in pace, but the third kilometre will probably be a lot slower as this has been mainly uphills. And as you can see, we are now in that forestry area. It's a little bit darker on the camera too because of the contrast with the blue skies. But there's the volunteer holding out the sign for lap 2. So that is one lap complete. Doing okay at the moment, just need to keep up at this pace. And we are back on that long straight flat, the stunning one, which just feels like it goes on forever. But it is a really nice park run, perfect temperature on the day and no rain too, which is an added bonus. And as expected, kilometre 3 was that little bit slower with a time of around 4 minutes and 57 seconds. We've just hit the lowest point on this south side, so we're now heading our way back up to that first right-hand turn. Doing well though, keeping up with that pace. The pace you can just see on that right-hand side sneaking onto the screen just there, but I think he is slightly ahead of pace 2, which is good. I always like it when the pacer is ever so slightly ahead of the pace, because then you know you're guaranteed to get quicker than that pace. I'd rather than be slightly ahead than slightly behind, and then you end up taking them over at the end and you actually got less than 25 minutes. So I do prefer it when they are slightly ahead of time, but as long as they're not like a minute ahead of time, that is all good. On the trail path again, long straight till the end, gonna turn off to the right, and then we should have about 1.5 kilometers left to go. So there's about 1.5 kilometers to go, because on Strava we get to about 5.2 kilometers by the end of the run. This is now a gentle decline for quite a lot of the section, which is perfect, so the pace should begin to increase ever so slightly. We're still ahead of that 25-minute pacer too, so we should get ahead of that 25-minute time, and we start to overtake people like this blue top man here on the right-hand side. But you never know. Sometimes people like save so much energy to the end, and obviously I'm going to have quite a bit of energy at the end as I'm not going at full speed, because I'm trying to keep an eye on the camera to make sure I'm recording this properly. But now it is a very gentle incline again towards the centre of this northern section, and we're going back down the other end, back up towards the start line, and then that sprint finish right at the end. So we've just got under a kilometre to go, and this is where we run through the puddle. So I can actually see it just ever so slightly in front of me here, and splash, foot goes straight into it. You can't see much on the screen, but at that point I was like, I can't believe I've just done that, and ran straight through a big, wet, muddy puddle. That last previous kilometre was actually quicker than the one before, so that was a 4:53, so we have picked it up by 4 seconds, which is what we like to hear. And the 25-minute pacer is now a little bit further back, so hopefully that should be the last we see of them. Overtaking the black shirt man there that we just went past on the right hand side, and it is going a little bit dark here because of the contrast between the trees and the sky, as my GoPro is not the usual height that it should be. Straight through this puddle, and then this is the long grueling uphill back towards the start/finish line. So there we go, we have made it up to the top of that hill, and we're coming up towards 24 minutes. It now shows 5k, but we've got 200 meters to go, just over 200 meters to go on Strava. So here we go, the final push now as we get overtaken there by Blue Top Man. But we're going to head forwards rather than going off to the right, which we did on the first lap. We're now heading off forwards, and then it's going to be a left-hand turn in this forest. It's very pretty, this last section, I have to say. Probably one of the prettiest finishes I have ever done, alongside one which I did near Derby as well. I can't remember what the name of it was, but that was beautiful too. And this is where my competitive side comes in. So I see people ahead of me and I'm like, oh, you know what, I can overtake them. So I start to pick up the pace a little bit here at the end. I can hear the guy to my right in the blue top just then chuckle and sprint too. And now we are coming up towards that finish line. What time will we get? We get a time there of 24 minutes and 37 seconds. I turn around and give him a quick fist bump, the blue top man. And that's what I quite like about Park Run, having that person in front of you to push you towards that finish line. And do remember to keep walking through the funnel, don't just stop straight after. We're about to collect our finish token, of which we get a position of 76. So very happy with that too. So that is Lydiard Park Run. Now let's take a look at a summary. And so that is Lydiard Park Run complete. That's actually ticking off the first L which I have ever done. So that ticks that off on the Alphabeteer challenge, and also on my Namely challenge, as my name is Elliot Enoch. The L is now ticked off there too, which is good news. It was also the first time ever that I've come at 76th position, so I was able to knock that one off of the position bingo. So overall, even though I had to run slowly because I'd forgotten my harness, there were plenty of achievements to get at this park run. So I believe L must be fairly hard to get because there's not many around my area, so maybe there might be some more somewhere else. But where I live, there is not many L's nearby, so it was quite nice to complete that one. So as you can see, that was definitely one of my slower times, and I wouldn't say it is PB worthy, only because it is slightly hilly, which makes it more difficult to try and get your fastest time. And also in terms of how busy it is, you could see there at the very start that you're basically walking for a good little chunk of time at the start of the run, so therefore it makes it just a little bit harder to set off. But maybe if you're at the front of the park run, then you might have a little bit more of a chance of getting that PB. In terms of the atmosphere, it was great. The volunteers were really good too, so I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the volunteers, because without them these events could not go ahead and we wouldn't be getting our time at the end of the day. But finally, let's move on to those all important pinch points, those things which are slowing us down ever so slightly from getting our PB today. So number one is going to be that it was busy and it bottlenecked right at the start, which wasn't ideal, so we lost quite a few seconds right at the start of this park run. Number two is the slightly hilly nature, so it has got a few slower inclines which definitely slow you down and stop you from getting that PB. And number three for today were all the potholes full of water, because you can run through them and that's okay, but that'll probably slow you down too because you then get all wet and soggy. But if you're trying to run around those potholes, you're probably taking a much slower route than you need to. So they're going to be the 3 pinch points for today's park run. And now it is time to take a look through a few tips and tricks on people that are thinking of getting to that park run and how they are going to get there. So via public transport, if you want to get there by train, you can get to the Swindon station, and then from there is approximately an hour and 17-minute walk, so it's probably a little bit too far for that. Or you could get the bus from the station to Wilmot Close and then walk from there. That'll take approximately 45 minutes, or you can get a taxi/Uber for a 12-minute drive to the park run. And then in terms of buses, we just went through where the closest bus stop was, and that is Wilmot Close. So from there is about 11-minute walk, and you can use buses either 1A or C1 to get to that bus stop. And then finally, if you want to park on site and you're driving there is a car park literally 1 minute away from the start, which is perfect, and that is Lydiard Park car park. And it is about £2.40 with pay by phone, so make sure you download the app before you get there, otherwise you might find it a little bit difficult to get it. You can also pay by cash, but the machines were out of order on the day, so I'm not too sure what you would have done in that situation. And it is a less than minute walk, like I said before, so it is perfect and really close to that start line. But the most important bit is the post-park run coffee, where you're going to go. So Forest Cafe is literally a less than 1 minute walk from the finish line, and it's literally right next to where you start and the car park, so nice and close, and you can get plenty of cake and drinks and lots of other things like that. And when we were there on the day, it was also very busy, so there'll be lots of people to chat to. So those are all my tips and tricks, but if you do have any more of your own, do make sure to let us know down in that comment section below. But now let's take a look at my post-park run stats following the run today. So the number of park runs has increased to 66, with the number of locations increasing to 48. My best finish position and all my quickest times still remain the same, unfortunately, but I wasn't going to beat any of my times today, especially when I was holding the GoPro and it was slightly hilly too. But I do hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, do make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel. We try and get some parkrun content out every week, and I'm trying to train for a 10k too. So we'll have more running content there as well. But if you do want to go and watch another one of my videos, you can go and check out last week's parkrun, which was at Grangemore, where you can see we actually ended up on my 5th quickest time, which was incredible. Or you can go and check out all my other parkruns in that worldwide parkrun playlist, including my best finish position, which was 4th in Jar in Poland. But in the next parkrun video, I'm looking at going to Trelai, I'm not too sure how you say it, in Cardiff. And that's Lydiard Park Run, so hopefully we can try and get a quick time there, and I'll try and make sure I remember to take my harness. So I do hope you all enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all in the next one.